The data analytics niche is full of videos on how to become a data analyst. There's so many videos on what skills to learn, what you should do with your time, what you should study, but there are not many videos showing you how to actually do data analytics work. So you might be wondering, where do I get started? Well, today I've got an example for you. I'm going to be answering the question, where can I find a UFO? I know, it's a bit of a silly question. It's a bit of a fun question, but through the power of data analytics, you can arrive at an answer. I will show you the end-to-end analysis process of data collection, data analysis, and data visualization. And then I will draw a conclusion at the end. If you want to find a UFO and you want to learn how to become a good data analyst, you might want to go somewhere else. But nevertheless, I'll have an answer for both of those things. Let's go. All right. We're going to do it today, everyone. We are going to find where you can go see a UFO in person, guaranteed, 100% certainty from Kaggle, National UFO Reporting Center, New Fork. Sounds like a real credible organization. A non-governmental, non-profit corporation registered in Washington State. Okay. Is a trusted agency. Oh, look at that. 170,000 UFO sites on record. That is amazing. Data bank. What have we got here? Index by event date, state, country, shape. You know, these might be useful. I'm going to keep that open. But we've got the Kaggle data set here, which has city, state, country, shape. Wow. Duration. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Well, what we'll do is we're going to save this data somewhere. I'm not going to use a Kaggle notebook for this. I'm going to use my own notebook. All right, so we've got the raw data from Kaggle. I've got that in its own folder. I've got a VS Code window open up now. We can briefly look at this in VS Code, but that's obviously not useful at all. So what we'll do is we'll make a new... I might actually use Power BI for the visualizing, but let's explore it with Python. You might get some value out of this. Let's get some insights, hopefully. All right, let's look at the scrubbed data frame CSV instead. I'm not sure why the complete one didn't want to load. Scrubbed should have enough of what we need. Date time, 1949, 45 minutes. All right, so we've got. Let's have a look at date, time, city, state, country, shape, duration, comments, date posted, latitude, longitude. Now, latitude, longitude, that is where we're going to have some fun with. We're going to plot this visually first. I'll do this in Power BI because that. Let's just have a look. Alrighty, so let's find out the earliest UFO sighting in this. So we'll go df.sort, see earliest. The 10,000th entry, and we've got 1910, which is interesting. So we've got 80,000 records in this. 80,000 sightings. That's a lot. A lot since 1910. That's a lot. All right, interesting. So not a lot to be gathered with pandas over Power BI at the moment. So what I'll do is I'll swap over to Power BI, and we can start making some groupings by the years, by locations. The geocodes, things like that. Let's get going. Alrighty, in Power BI here, let's get some data. Let's get the data from. Let's do it from the folder. It's fun exploring the data with Power BI to be a bit more straightforward than doing it with Python, but Python definitely has some powerful uses. Yep. Okay, so we're on the normal folder. We've got the two CSVs here and the zips and stuff, but we'll just get let's get the scrubbed one again because we were familiar with that. We've got errors in this. I'm interested to see what's causing this error. Looking into this, it looks like the date values in this column aren't even necessarily in a valid date format. We're going to keep the errors. Let's replace the errors with this, because the actual time isn't super important in terms of answering the question of where you can find a UFO. The time isn't necessarily important because you can just go to the location and be there 24/7 if you're dedicated. So we've got the alien proof query now. Boom, beauty. Latitude, longitudes, state, country, beautiful comments. All right, so we've got a a margin here and a title. Let's just actually make the margin a little bit narrower so we can fit some more on here. Beauty. Nice and basic. We're not particularly fussed. We just want to make it look a bit nice for us. What we'll do is we'll use the normal map visual, but oh my goodness, look at that. Wowee. Okay, well, in summary, you can see a UFO literally anywhere. There you go. Thanks for watching. Let's have a look at some of the comments for these sightings. So go back to this Melbourne one. Small round light fell. Wowee. Well, there you go. Well, these from west to south. Red light seen over southern Victoria. I'm not sure if these people know what stars are and what the sun is. But, you know, this is interesting. Very interesting. The data here is interesting. Certainly very interesting. But we've mapped out all the sightings relatively without much of an issue. So you've got these country codes here, but a lot of these records probably are blank. Probably don't have one at all. What we'll do is let's filter for United States only, just to make our life a bit easier somehow. Even with all of these data points in the United States, let's just filter that. Interesting. Okay, so we've got a crap load, absolute crap load of UFO sightings across all of the United States. Let's make this map look a bit less disgusting. Alrighty. Now, here is not the 10th of the 2nd, 2024. Apply. Alright, so let's cut down some of our observations that have errors. So these are all effectively the clean data. What we'll do, let's just make the state the legend. Wow, look at that, so beautiful. Oh my goodness, look at all those colors. Let's do some frequency statistics based on the state to see. Let's try and narrow it down to a given state that has the most observations, and we'll do that. Let's do that independent of population first, but then let's go to per capita, because you'd expect a state like California with a higher population than Montana would have more observations, just due to the proportional amount of people that are there to observe possible UFO sightings. We'll import in some US state population stats, do a comparison that way. All right, so I've just documented what we've done so far. We've loaded the data in. We've observed the early century in the year 1909, so we know when this was started. 80,000 raw records, so 80,000 observations over that time. We've filtered our analysis to the United States only, so we've got that here. First, we want to verify if the United States was the best selection. It probably will be for our purposes, but let's do a frequency like amount per region. We're going to do a frequency analysis, so like US, AU, etc. I'm going to see if this is number one, just to reaffirm our analysis. That's important to reaffirm our assumption that the US is good. Let's figure out how many clean records are being observed in the next steps here. So we want to find out. It looked like there was quite a lot of observations, so we should have enough to work with, but let's just get the number of that as well. Then the next part of our analysis begins after we've reaffirmed those choices. So let's get the frequency by state in the United States, assuming that the United States is the right way to go. Which state to look at by observation. So if we have the most observations in a certain place, that might be the best place to start to try and find a UFO. Then the next thing will be sightings per capita, and we'll visualize those too. So for the first parts, let's stay within Power BI for now. This is a bit more straightforward. So what we'll do is we'll do a new measure, count rows, alien proof. It's a simple count row. So we have 26,000 records in the United States. So that is a smaller proportion of it's about a quarter of all the observations are in just the United States. So maybe that's okay. I think that's okay. So that reaffirms the United States as their selection. But now let's do a bar chart. All right, lo and behold, California, Washington, interesting, is second highest, but California is number one by quite a large margin. And then Texas, New York, Florida, as expected. As I said in the first part, we expected this to be the case. There's more people in these states. Washington, I didn't expect. I'm not familiar with how many people live in Washington. I assumed it was not too many, but it could be quite a lot. So what we'll do is we'll import in some population statistics from the web, and then try and do a relationship per capita observation. Annual population estimates. Let's try and connect to this. I actually just scrolled past the connector that was in that list, but let's try this. No state code. Let's load that in. I might need to get a codes United States. This is hopeless. Look at how crap this is. Embarrassing. Oh, hallelujah. So from this website here, we managed to pull in. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to link state to state. Should be one to many. Beautiful, we love that. Now, name. All right, so we want the name to link to the... All right, well, we want the name to link to this state column, but did I do that already? That's really strange. I'm surprised it found matches. That actually makes no sense. This should be postal. State should go to state. Damn. So if we go here and we go state codes and we put the state in the y-axis, there we go. We've got the same observations. The relationship's working. Now let's say we want to visualize. God, these names are horrible names. What have we got here? Estimates base 2020. Pop estimates 2021. Pop estimates 2022. That's probably what we're going to go with. Population estimate 2022. Yeah, that should cover our purposes. So if I do pop estimate 2022, this one. Oh. I made a mistake. Alright, so we want this to be name, because I'm stupid. I'm not very smart. And there we go. Blank. Get the hell out of here, Blank. What are you doing, mate? What are you talking about? Get out of here. Now, the count is so incredibly small that it's dwarfed by the population, of course. Yep. We've got the relationship built. Now we can do per capita. So we can actually do that within the. Let's leave the population here. Actually, let's make our charts a bit pretty for our analysis. So let's make this. Let's go back to the counts. All right, I'm gonna make it all pretty. All right, prettified, amazing, wonderful. This is okay. I don't like the legend on this, but so we've got I just applied a theme to get the nice borders. Let's just turn the borders off for the title though, because that's yuck. But there we go. So population by state and the sightings by state, so we can see we can get towards working on our our sightings per capita for each state, and then we can visualize that in a new chart. The sum of the population estimate 2022. Is that right? All right, Louisiana, Georgia, Texas, Mississippi, 22 sightings per 20,000 sightings per capita. I think I've done the maths wrong on this one. Yep, whoopsie. I made a oopsie poopsie, guys. It's supposed to be I'm flippin' silly. There we go. Washington, Alaska, Montana. So we got a very small amount. Very small amount. Okay, so let's just do some checking in Python. So let's make a filter df. Florida, 3,835. And the... Alright. So I'm just getting the Florida observations only. 22,244,823. 1588. There you go. It's really small. West Virginia. Mountain Mama. Florida. I'm losing my mind. Country roads. Florida. Which is, it's about right. It's very small. Very small amount. Very small. Which makes sense. So we ended up with UFO sightings by state in a per capita sightings per capita. Wonderful. So obviously the populations are extremely bloody high compared to the amount of sightings, but now we have 3 effective measures of sort of gauging what makes sense here. So you see Washington is the second highest in terms of amount of UFO sightings. Washington is the highest sightings per capita. When we're talking these small numbers, it's actually a very large difference in between Washington and even California. California, that's insane. California has a very extremely large, giant, bloody population. To be fair, Washington, let's add a slicer. Let's add a state slicer. This is really annoying. You bastard. All right. California. Boom. Slicer sucks, but you get the idea. This is ugly. California. 39 million people, 3.7k sightings. Not a lot. Really not a lot. What is that? Look at that. Look at that number. It's tiny. Tiny. So even though California has the most sightings per capita, it doesn't. Not even close. It's not even on the bloody list. It's now all the way down here. All the way down here. So we're not going to California. It looks like, based on this, rigorous analysis, this amazing work, Washington is the state to be. Now, my goodness gracious me, look at that. We seem to have quite the concentration around Seattle, possibly because Seattle has the most people. That would make sense, but shall we investigate? Male alleges to have witnessed approximately a dozen orange fireballs seen above Renton. Craft changed to 3 bright white lights, then back to red and wowee, this is high quality observations. My hot tub has a wood grid overhead that basically lets me see satellites and any other moving objects easily. Last night I assume it's going to say a triangle. I'd like to see this observation. Oh no, I lost where it is. I want to know more about the hot tub. No, I've lost you. I'm so sad. This is sad. Alright, well, what else we got here? Triangular crafts, bright ball of lights, 12 red lights over Shelton, 2 bearing jellyfish in the sky. Lots of light observations, fireballs, etc. all over this area. Very interesting. It's looking like that's the place to go. It's looking like if we want to see UFOs, we have to go to Washington, we have to go to Seattle, and we have to pray that we have a hot tub that is ready for the job. Well, there you go. So let's go back to the drawing board, everyone. We need to go back to the drawing board. So we've done, let's review our list. So, amount of clean records, it was 26,000 records-ish for the United States that are clean. Frequency of sightings by state, we've done that. Found out California was very high. Import population data by state, we've done that. Calculate sightings per capita, we've done that. Visualize sightings per capita to hone in on a single state for analysis. Washington is the chosen one. Done. So we've done all of these next steps. Now, are we any closer to an answer? Do UFOs exist? Do aliens exist? Where can you see them? We're not that much closer, to be honest. But this is what analysis is for. You go around, you look through the numbers, you find things out. I found out Washington, this is crazy. There's lots of UFOs in Washington. I didn't know that before starting this. So if I want to have the best chances of seeing a UFO, I'll probably go to Washington. I've also noticed that this border looks yuck. What's going on here? Turn that off. Get out of here. Get out of town. What are we talking about? All right, I'll be back. Short break, and we'll figure out the answers. All right, we've done some thinking. We've done some planning. I've done some further adjusting of the data to drill a bit further in on where in Washington it's most likely to find or spot a UFO. So, to outline what we've done, we have, let's say this is Washington. This is the whole area, and the UFO sightings, I like this, distributed randomly a little bit. Or so we think. Maybe there's a bit of a pattern in this area. Well, to figure out where exactly to go to find a UFO, I thought it best to break up this in terms of the latitude longitude grid. So perhaps the most UFOs to be seen are in this grid, for example, or this grid, or this grid. And that should bring us to sort of a final answer. If you want to spot a UFO, where do you go? Well, you go to this area, this particular area. So to do that, I needed to get an idea of what latitudes and longitudes we're dealing with in terms of the Washington area. I did some further cleaning to the original data frame that we used to explore the data. I did this back in the notebook, the analysis notebook. So I've done some basic cleaning. I converted the full column to the date time to attempt to mimic the same amount of clean entries that we did in the Power BI by dropping the errors as well. Instead of converting them to today's date like I did in Power BI, I just dropped the errors. But we did get a different amount of rows still. So this was more successful at converting the dates than Power BI was. So this still, for our purposes, should honestly work a bit better. And I filtered the data frame for Washington only. And then the latitude column was not in a float data type. It was an object. So there was some invalid data points in there. So I've just converted that to a float and drop the errors from that as well, which should be very minimal amount. So we have our filtered data frame here, which is just all the Washington entries. It's still, almost 4,000 rows, which is a lot more than we have in the Power BI, but for our purposes, it's okay. I thought I'd get a little bit interesting with one of the data points we had here, one of the data variables rather, which is the shape of the UFO. What are you most likely to see if you find yourself encountering a UFO in this area? Well, a light and fireball seem to be the most common by quite a lot, but that's very ambiguous. Light is like nothing. A light could be anything, really. And a fireball could easily be meteors burning up on entry or fireworks. There was a couple of data points that said during the 4th of July, they saw a fireball. Wow, no, really? You sure? I think there might be a few things that would cause that. Triangle is interesting. Circle, sphere, things like that. They're very interesting. Disc, you'd think disc would be higher, but no, it wasn't. It's almost straight in the middle there. An egg, interesting. So there's a very interesting distribution of the type of shape of the UFO. I thought that was an interesting insight, but that's not really relevant to what we're trying to do. So that's there, but this is the end result of trying to filter down the data frame. I just wanted to get the range of the latitudes and longitudes. So you've got between 45 and 49 latitude and between minus 117 and minus 124 longitudes. So now we need to probably attribute we want to do it with our Power BI data. That's what we've been working with so far. So I've taken the liberty of building out a switch function that will give each record a latitude category at the moment. So we've got the buckets of integers, so 45 to 46, 46 to 47, all the way up to 48 to 49, and then we have another bucket just in case, but there should actually be nothing in there. Yep, because we've calculated the range already. So this will give us a way to sort of model the frequency of each sighting by the latitude category. So what we'll do, just crack open a new page here, clustered column chart, and grab the count by state as the y-axis. That's the total. Count by state is a bad name for this measure, but it is just the count. And then let's do the latitude categories. And that is completely not what I expected. We don't have a Washington state filter. That would be why, because we've got a lot that aren't in that area. So these are all the Washington observations. Let's filter all pages to now be Washington, because we don't need the other states anymore. We did still some other observations. That's strange. All right, we'll just disregard that one. It must just be it's like a decimal point underneath one of these two ends. So you could see 47 to 48 latitude is the most likely to occur. So you'll notice that there's double ups of the numbers here. So 48 exists in two buckets. The upper end is non-inclusive. 47 to 48 is really 47 to 47.99999. So we're looking at the range of 47 here is the most common. 2,678 observations in that. Let's go to our map. If you go down here, this would probably be, there you go, the 47 range latitude here. So latitude is horizontal, is vertical. So where's the end point? Around about here. So there you go. This band across Washington. Let's, for a bit of fun, let's chuck that back on the whiteboard. So you've got the Washington, if I hold shift for this, yep. So we've got basically this band here. This horizontal band is the most likely place to spot a UFO, according to the frequency of observations by that latitude category. So you've got this whole area here. Now, in terms of the longitude, we can sort of very clearly see, without even having to analyze, that this is the area here that has the most. These out on the right hand side here are much fewer. So basically we're looking at, without even having to analyze, we're looking at this area here as the golden area for spotting a UFO. So let's dive into the map a little bit and see if there's anything noteworthy. It's looking like it's all just adjacent to Seattle, suburbs of Seattle. So it's just looking like where the most people are seems to be highest count of observations, which makes complete sense. It does make complete sense. But anywhere in particular that stands out along here? Not really. It seems quite dispersed, even going all the way up to the Canadian border. Forks. Is this the place? Is this the town? I think it might be the town. Ball fire over Forks. Well, someone's gone wrong with the those Twilight Mother Hubbards. So down here, there's another higher concentration down here to Portland. But yeah, again, that's out of our band It's in our longitudinal band, but it's out of our latitude band. But also in our latitude over here, this other city seems is actually in line. It might be coincidental, to be honest, but let's go back to our grid here. This city is actually, or town rather, is in our latitudinal line. So there you go. Can you go along a road here? There's a nice road, Route 90, Highway 90. That could be the one to go drive along if you want to find a UFO, because you're along the most likely latitudinal band. And then once you get to Seattle, you want to be driving up to the border and driving down. So many UFOs have been spotted here. Well, there you go. That's an answer to the question, where can I spot a UFO? Cheers.